Union of Mineworkers women's structure embarked on a national march to the Chamber of Mines, Eskom and South African Federation of Civil Engineering Contractors today to hand over a memorandum of grievances related to transformation and women empowerment at various workplaces. They argue that gender discrimination still prevails in the mining industry, with women comprising a mere 10.9% of the entire workforce. To hear more about the march, we are now joined by NUM Women's Structure National Secretary Phumeza Mgengo. Phumeza, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
Now, firstly, let's look at the comments that the NUM has made around safety first. Considering what we've seen happening at Kusasaletu since yesterday, 5 miners trapped, we now know that one has been brought to surface, but he's lost his life. Yes. Your comments as NUM?
As NUM, we feel like our members in the mining industry are not safe. The companies are pushing for production, forgetting that before you get production, you must have safety workers. So because the incident happened, I think, yesterday in the morning.
Yes.
So surely the others were still underground, there are no more. Because they managed to rescue only 5 out of it was 12 workers. They managed to rescue 5 yesterday. Today someone is dead, and then they only rescue 1 who's dead, and then the other 4 that is left underground. I believe there is no how that could be alive, given the environment, the heat underground, and the hours that have been underground being trapped.
Perhaps before we delve into the march that I was speaking about earlier on, let's look at the issues at Kusasaletu specifically, because we did speak to a Harmony Gold exec, Lauren
Yes.
Fourie, a few minutes ago,
Yes.
and she was saying, safety is a priority for Harmony,
Yes.
and you've just told me now that that's where you operate from. So you
Yes.
operate from Kusasaletu mine.
Yes.
What are the realities at that mine, and have you had consistent issues of safety there?
No, the issues of safety are not consistent in Kusasaletu. I mean, they are consistent, but in most cases, the workers, they kind of like working under pressure because of production. Because at times, if you do not produce, there are consequences. Even though there are bonuses you get, but there are consequences. So they're working under a lot of pressure. So at some times, they end up working unsafe.
Let's now look at the march that you embarked on to the Chamber of Mines, Eskom, as well as the South African Federation of Civil Engineering Contractors. Yes. Take us through the reasoning behind going there specifically.
As NUM, firstly, we have taken a research through our institute, SATRI, Semtamban Research Institute, after we have been complaining about the challenges that we face as women in mining, like your maternity benefit, the transformation, sexual harassment, improper PPE. SATRI did conduct the research, and the results came exactly the way we were complaining. So we decided now to march to Chamber of Mine, Eskom, even though Eskom was not there, and SAFSEC, to kind of like show them that as women, we believe these industries are not ready for us. For example, you will find that in the mining industry, when you are pregnant, you have to hide your pregnancy because you will lose some of your benefits, like your bonuses. And then if you're working underground, let's say maybe you are a shift boss or you are kind of like artisan, you will have to come on surface because you can't go underground being pregnant. So you will lose your salary. They cut your salary because they're saying you're on surface now. So as women, we're saying we have a right to reproduce. So when you have signed an appointment of being an artisan, should you get pregnant, you must get your salary as it is in your appointment. Because women are afraid to disclose their pregnancy because most of women who are working in the mines are single mothers. So they feel like if ever I disclose, there's a lot I'm going to lose, because you still have the 4 months that you have to sit at home, and the company is only paying 66%, and the labor department 33%. Sometimes you'll get the portion from labor when we are back from work. And on the issue of the PPE that we're using in the mining industry and construction, it's meant for men because they were male-dominated industries. So sometimes it's either it is too tight or it is too big for you. And when it is too tight, it attracts sexual harassment in most cases.
It attracts sexual harassment?
Yes, because it's too tight and then your lower body is showing. And there is this transport we used to go underground, we call it a catch, but in your terms it's a lift. So you'll find like our male counterparts rubbing their private parts on our bags, and then sometimes they even do some gross stuff because of the PPE wearing. So, and when you go underground, maybe trying to relieve yourself, when you take it off, sometimes one piece overall, men are looking at you. Even when, for example, in the mining, there's always dark. You will use a lamp sometimes for you to relieve yourself. Even the ablution facility are not on point. Sometimes you have to use a dark corner there, and then you switch off your lamp, and they open their lamps, and then they see your body. So we're saying if we could have proper PPE and proper ablution facilities as women, then we can reduce sexual harassment.
Phumeza, some of the issues that you mentioned, I mean, I'm absolutely shocked even hearing about it. It's unacceptable what you mentioned, that women face in these mines. So, as the NUM, is this the first time you have gone to the Chamber of Mines with these issues? Have you spoken to mine management, for example, about these specific issues? Because you say, I mean, you specifically operate at a mine. Have you been in contact with mine management and said, the conditions under which women are working are unacceptable? Because we can't say, well, the clothes are tight and that's why women are being harassed. Women can wear what they need to wear because that's what they need to wear underground, and they can't be subjected to harassment because of that. So have you spoken to mine management?
In 2012, on the 5th of May, we, as a Carletonville region, we had a march around the very same transformation. The only mine that has responded, it was Kusasaletu mine where I'm working, because there was an incident when a woman was kind of like changing her clothes, and there was a man staring at her. She was naked, and then we reported the case, and then when we marched, and then when we went to Kusasaletu now to discuss the memorandum, we said what we were referring to, it was an employee in your mine. That employee was dealt with and was fired. So in some of the mines, we don't get reports that are positive in as far as sexual harassment is concerned. But we believe now that Mine Health and Safety Council has decided that sexual harassment, it should be a dismissible offense, and they will enforce it in the mines. Even the PPE, they're going to enforce it, because I think in August 2015, there was a women mining conference that was led by Mine Health and Safety. So it was talking on these issues, ablution facilities, PPE, and as well as sexual harassment. So we believe our march and the guidelines of Mine Health and Safety Council can make a difference.
Now, speaking of interventions, government is pushing to introduce a new mining charter, which the Chamber of Mines is objecting to. Do you think introducing this new mining charter would deal with some of the issues that women face in mining? Yeah,
as NUM we believe, because the charter, it's on its own, it's 8% on workers, 8% in the communities, and even the representation in the boards of women is also good. But now we believe Chamber of Mines is refusing the charter because it is trying to address the issues that we are complaining about. So as NUM, we feel like the charter is going to accept on that 14% of the black entrepreneur, because we don't know who is that. Because to us, it's kind of like vague. It's
Do you want specific. Them to be more specific?
Yes, they must be more specific exactly who is, because there's already 30% of the BEE. And then this 14% of this black entrepreneur, who is that? Who is then to benefit? If they are unable to unpack, then they rather give it to the community and to the mine, to the employees, as in terms of employee share ownership, the ESOPs.
Let's look at the reception that you receive when you are handing over these memorandums of grievances. I mean, you've just mentioned now that the people at Eskom were not there. But in terms of the Chamber of Mines, are they open to dialogue with you?
Yes, they are, because it was Dr. Stradom. And then they said it is for the first time in their history having a march from women. So
why do you think it's taken us this long? I mean, as women or for women, specifically in the NUM, to get to a point where they say we are going to march to these offices of people who are actual stakeholders?
Maybe it's because, to be honest, the mining industry is male-dominated, and they're not gender-sensitive, they're gender-blind. Even our unions, they are also male-dominated. So in most cases, even on the demands, we do have these things on our demands, on chamber demands. But in most cases, they are at the bottom of the list. So now as women, we said it's time for us to stand up for ourselves, because our voice can be heard through a voice of a male in most cases. And the negotiators are males. So we said now that we have started with the march, moving forward, even in the negotiations, we are going to be there. We'll make sure that in as much as we deal with issues of bread and butter, even our issues as women, they must be on the top of the list.
Not just finally, what do you as the NUM's women's structure want to see going forward? We've mentioned now that, yes, the stakeholders are willing to engage with you and the dialogue has started.
Yes.
But when do we go beyond just sitting in a room and talking about it? What do you want to see being implemented, over the next year, over the next 5 years, so that, 5 years from now, if you and I are having this conversation again, we can really tick some actual boxes?
So what we want, that 10%, it's 10.9% of women in core business. We want them to be specific, because when we speak of core business, we speak of mining, we speak of engineering, we speak of ore reserve, we speak of metallurgy. So we want to see women in those areas. And the women who are non-core, they must not be counted on that 10.9%. If it's only 1% of women who are in the core business, the companies must be specific and they must be clear. And again, we want this glass ceiling to kind of like break, because you'll find that there are women who've got qualifications, but because of their women, they create levels and levels and levels so that they won't reach there. They just create just a glass ceiling for women. So when moving forward, women must sit in the boards. Women must be able to go and strike deals on the golf course like everyone, because on management level, you won't find women. And then we want our black managers not to be just have to kind of like win or dress. They must be there and be part of decision makers. And then we believe women, we want to see them in the boards, on influential positions. We want to see them taking decisions. We want to see them going on the golf course and striking deals together with our male counterparts. We want women, when they got pregnant, for example, we said to Chamber of Mines today, it's a pity that we are the ones who get pregnant, but we do not impregnate ourselves. But we are the one who kind of like feel the pinch, because you get salary cut, you sometimes don't get your money, and then there are males who get everything. So we're saying, Chamber of Mines and Eskom and SABC, make sure that when women are pregnant, there are no salary cut. There is a deal, you have signed a contract, let it be like that, because they hire women who are at the peak of giving birth. They don't hire old women. So moving forward, no longer going to talk about salary cuts on pregnancy, on transformation. Employment equity is clear. If you've got a skill, you must be remunerated according to your skill. If you've got a qualification, you must be remunerated according to your qualification. And on construction, we said equal pay for work of equal value. So as women moving forward, we don't want to speak about that. In fact, starting from maybe next year. And then SABC has promised that they are willing to kind of like sit down with us. And then Chamber of Mines is also willing. So moving forward, we want to make sure that this is a continuous dialogue with implementation and results.
Phumeza, we'll have to leave it there. Thank you so much for joining us. There are so many challenges that women face, and I wish we had more time.
Okay.
That was the NUM's Women's Structure National Secretary Phumeza Mgengo joining us in studio, talking some of the challenges that women face in the mining sector.